Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. So in this series we see opening principles, middle game strategies and the endgame strategies, and we're continuing now this middle game strategies again with this recognition of common pawn structures, again today with the Panov formations of the pawns in the center with the so-called Panov attack. So the Panov attack is this setup which I have already prepared here. It's the setup d4 and c5. So I have already created one video about this Panov attack, what are the ideas for white. So if you want to get a better knowledge, to get a better understanding of this video, you should really watch this video first that I've created in this Panov attack. Today we'll try some different things about the Panov attack. Today we'll try how to battle against your opponent's ideas. What are the opponent's ideas against this formation? Because in the last video that I've created, well, the games, the instructive games that I showed, they were a little bit too smooth for black. There are more aggressive ways for black to play against this Panov formation, and I really think you should be familiar with the setups by black and how you should counterplay your opponent in the continuation of the game. So as said, our main goal here from white's perspective is the space advantage that we have created on the 5th rank. So we should stay onto the space advantage. But your opponent's idea could be here to crack open the position with the move e5. So this is an idea to really crack the position, to really undermine your space advantage that you have created. But don't be scared. If your opponent plays this e5 too early, he may get crushed in an early stage of the game. So the instructive game that I wanted to show you, it was played by Ulrich Duras, and here he played the so-called Panov attack, and his opponent tried immediately to play the move e5, of course to undermine your d4 support of the pawn c5. Then after that, his idea is to take the pawn on c5 and of course get a very nice middle game, get a very nice space advantage with his own pieces. So if you notice that your opponent hasn't castled and plays the move e5, I recommend you just to take, like Ulrich Duras did here, d takes e5, and you see this is now really active game. The game gets dynamic. Although your king is still in the center, you see that black will have many troubles in order to grab back this pawn and to find some counterplay. So here of course knight on g4 can be played in order to create now a double attack on these pawns. Here after maybe taking even this knight on e5, here the knight on c5 would be a target. But here I recommend you to play, if the position of course allowed you to play the move queen on a4. It stops a little bit black's tries to take off these pawns. Of course you can take in the next move the pawn here on c5, but it will be very dangerous after a potential h3 move. Then the knight has to jump on h6, and here we could trade off this bishop for this knight on h6, and black will have a very weak pawn structure around black's king. So of course some b5 outposts of pawn breakthroughs with the pawn is not possible. So of course we can immediately take with bishop on b5 or with knight on b5, because we have created a very nice discovered attack on the rook here. So that's why here h5 was played by black to fix the knight for a while after potential h3, then to get the knight on h6, or even to take the pawn on e5. But if we recapture now the knight, then the rook can take, and the pawn structure would still be healthy on the king side. So here Ulrich Duras played immediately h3, knight takes on e5 was played, and now knight takes on e5. And black probably thought here, okay, queen on e7 leads now into trades of pieces, but here bishop on f4 was played, and now f6. You see that with the move queen on e7 you have a little bit blocked out your own dark square bishop, so you didn't make any progress here. You have to play also the move f6, and here knight on d5, because you see this d5 is always a weakness when your opponents push the pawn here on e5. So we don't have any more the support by this e6 pawn on this d5 pawn. So that's why here knight on d5, first this in between attack, and here queen takes on c5. Now we have knight on d7, bishop takes on d7 with an attack on the queen, but now queen on e4 by Ulrich Duras, king on d8. Now rook on c1 with a direct attack on the queen. So white's pieces are playing now really nice harmony. Queen on a5, but not a problem. Here we have b4. Of course, the threat was bishop on c7 with this immediate checkmate threat. Bishop takes on b4 was played, and now queen on b4. And in this position, white resigned. Of course, you can take the bishop, but with this dark square problems around the black's king, it's really game over. So see this let's go back. This e5 pawn breakthrough here in the game. Well, it has to be prepared. Remember that while playing as white with the Panov attack, black will need many moves in order to push this pawn on e5. When he does it in an early stage of the game, you can make some tactical shots, some pinning chances, some blocking chances when your opponent is pushing this e5. As I said, it has to be prepared. You cannot play it simple like that with the king in the center. So let's see now another example. It's a game played by Paul Keres against Brian Patrick Relly, and here after casting here, Paul Keres also played the move c5. And one of the ideas can be here bishop on d7 with the potential b6 pawn breakthrough. Here black tried bishop on b7 in order to avoid some bishop on b5 ideas, which we've seen in the previous video. So as I mentioned, please watch the previous video of the Panov attack. You get a better understanding of this video. So this bishop on d7 is sort of a prophylactic move which doesn't allow white to move the bishop on b5, because of course after knight on c6 we would love to give up our light square bishop for this knight on c6, because the knight on c6 is the main supporter of this potential e5 pawn breakthrough. So again, black is trying this pawn breakthrough, but now he plays a prophylactic move with bishop on d7. But now you get a tempo with this move b4, because your opponent hasn't played the move knight on c6, which avoids this pawn move on b4. So that's why here b4 is possible, and now you have again fixed even more the position on dark squares. Now after b6, here bishop on d3. You don't have to play maybe the bishop on b5, and it prevents also this knight on e4 ideas, which I also mentioned in my last video. That could be a very nice knight outpost for black, and one of the main ideas in black's position. So that's why here a5 cracking even more. So this is now black's common idea against the Panov attack, to crack open this dark square pawns, to really try to get an open position, because here you see black didn't make the mistake. Black first castled and then attacked this pawn majority on the queen side with a minority attack. So here a3 was played. Now we have a takes b4, a takes b4, rook takes on a1, queen takes on a1, still common theory. And now knight on c6. We have of course queen on b2. We are not allowed to lose some pawns. If we lose any of these pawns, it will be very dangerous, and it would be basically game over. So here b takes c5 was played. Of course b takes c5. We are not taking with this d pawn, because it allows black a potential e5 pawn breakthrough. So that's why we have always to take with the c pawn, not allowing, because this pawn on d4 is still a supporter of this very important e5 square. So see here, black tried a pawn breakthrough, but pawn minority attack against your pawn majority, which is a good idea. The position is a little bit simplified, but still you can play on your space advantage that you have created with the move c5. Here we have bishop on c5. Again, black is desperately trying to open the position somehow, get use of your king in the center. D takes c5 was played. Now e5, knight takes on e5. You don't have to be scared about some potential rook on e8 possibilities. Here rook on e8 was played, but now knight on e2, at least covering for a while now this knight on e5, queen on a5, and now king on f1 is a very nice idea. We have knight takes on e5, bishop takes on e5, and now queen on a4, knight on c3, and in this position black can resign, because in the next move white can regroup and will continue the game with one piece up, which is of course completely winning here for white. So let's see now another example. Here it's a game played by Mikhail Botvinnik against Hans Kmoch. Here see b4 wasn't played by Botvinnik, because black played this very important knight on c6, which prevents such ideas. And here we have also created a positional pin, because if the knight moves, we of course will take the bishop, because the bishop can be used sometimes and you can use it here on the square f6, then to try this e5 pawn breakthrough. So here Mikhail Botvinnik played a very nice positional pin, and here knight on e4 was played by Hans Kmoch. So as I said, this can be also a good idea for black to create a counterplay, because if you take knight takes on e4 immediately after d takes e4, the problem is, okay, you can take maybe here bishop takes on e7, we can take with the knight or with the queen, but you see you have to move your knight, and this could be really now a problem, because now you have a backward pawn on d4, and we could use our rook here on the attack with the move rook on d8, and this will be a main weakness in white's position, so that's not good. So when your opponent is playing this knight on e4 idea, it's really bad to take out this knight. Here Mikhail Botvinnik of course doesn't make this mistake. He plays bishop on e7, knight takes on e7, and now rook on c3, rook on c1, supporting this knight on c3. So we're waiting a little bit what will happen with this knight in the center. The knight in the center here on e4 is basically black's best piece, so probably your opponent will try to support it with moves as f5. Here knight on g6 was played by Hans Kmoch, now castling finally by Mikhail Botvinnik. Still it's not good here to push the pawn on e5 immediately, because we can then maybe grab this pawn, grab this knight on e4, then grab a pawn here on e5, and we'll have a dynamic pawn structure with the possibility to play the move d5. And these two connected pawns, if we connect them, let's see the possible continuation. If black makes something like knight on like b6, then we can or if he tries here a potential e5 pawn breakthrough, then we can simply takes, and here black will have troubles himself, because he has now an isolated pawn on d5. So this could be also our main target. Basically black would be forced to take it, but now we can support this e5 with the move f4 and play rook on d3 with a very nice attack on this weak d5 pawn. So that's why here after knight on g6 we have bishop on d7, and here bishop on d3. Now we have attacked this knight twice. We want to get rid of this space advantage that black has created on our side of the board on the 4th rank. Here f5 can be an idea, but now we are playing on this pawn majority, which I said is one of the main ideas to play with the Panov formations in the of the pawns in the center. Now when the position is static like this, there are no good pawn moves in the center, so that's why here you have to create this very nice pawn majority flank attack here with the move b4. So because of course the knight is now not here, the b4 is possible. Bishop on e8 was played, and now we have g3, rook on c8, now we have rook on e1. We want to have a very nice compact position with our rooks. Queen on f6 was played, and now a3, knight on e7, knight on e5, here queen on h6, and now f3. Here Hans Kmoch finds a very nice tactical idea with the move knight on f2. King on f2 is not good, because then the queen can very actively come very actively into the game. That's why here queen on e2 was played, and now knight on h3. King on g2, we have g5, so black is trying now a counter flank attack on the king side. We have knight on b5, bishop takes on b5, bishop takes on b5, and here rook on f6. Bishop on bishop on d7, rook on d8 was played, and now you see very powerful move. We have now two connected pass pawns here. Well, they're not pass pawns, sorry, but they are two connected pawns here, which are really dangerous, because in the next move we can play the move c6. Queen on h5 was played. You see now c6, very annoying pawn now on the sixth rank. We have rook on h6, and here king on h1 was played, and in this position Hans Kmoch resigned, because here if you take off this pawn, we have b takes c6. In the next move we can try c7 and then c8 with the promotion. If you move the rook, still we can play here, and then you're forced basically to go with your knight on c8, but now the rook on c6 can come very actively into the game. This will be now a completely winning endgame here for white. We have a nice protection here on h2, so no discovered attacks are possible on the h file. So here, as I mentioned, white is completely winning. So let's see now another idea. Again, we have the Panov formation. Here it's a very nice game played by Garry Kasparov against Viswanathan Anand. It was played in 1996, and here you see Viswanathan Anand played also this very early knight on e4 idea. Of course, as I said, knight takes on e4 is not a good idea, but here Garry Kasparov played the move bishop on b5, and Viswanathan Anand tried here knight takes on c3. After b takes on c3, you see that okay, we have double pawns, but this pawn is supporting this d4, which is also supporting this e5, which is our main square that we are playing on. The e5 pawn breakthrough we are not allowing in the Panov formation, of course, again with the idea to take out this knight and then create some very annoying outposts on the square e5. So bishop on d7 was played by Viswanathan Anand. Here castling, we have castling by Anand. Now rook on c1, so of course Garry Kasparov will use all of his pieces in the attack. We have rook on e8, now rook on e1, bishop on f6, and now rook on b1 with an attack on the b file. So that's why here now b6 was played. Now Anand plays on this common idea to crack the position, to crack the pawns on dark squares. Here we have bishop on a6 with an very annoying move, bishop on b7. The threat is here, of course. That's why bishop on c8, bishop on b5, bishop on d7, again bishop on a6, bishop on c8, but now finally Garry Kasparov tries here bishop on d3. So he goes now into a direct attack. We have b takes c5, but now knight takes on e5. Garry Kasparov sacrifices a pawn here just to get this very important outpost on this e5 square. That's why bishop on d7 was played, and now rook on b7. Of course, the threat is this to take this bishop on d7. That's why first bishop takes on e5. We have d takes e5, and now we have gained again a very nice space advantage on the 5th rank with this bishop pair. Well, it's really a dangerous attack. Here Anand tried rook on b8, rook takes on b8, queen takes on b8 was played, but now queen on g4, and now we have a very powerful attack here by these two bishops, by the queen, with the preparations to play maybe rook on e3, g3 or h3. This will be really deadly for black. King on f8, getting at least out of this g file mess here, that could, because the queen has created now some this very nasty discovered attacks. Here rook on e3 was played. Of course, you see this bishop is controlling this b1 square. We have queen on d8, and now h4 by Garry. Very strong move, getting also some breathing space, because if a potential queen on b2 and then queen on c1 follows, then of course you have at least some squares to hide with your king. Queen on a5 was played, and here Garry doesn't care for the pawn here, the pawn on c3. It doesn't matter anymore, because we have now a perfect attack with these two bishops, with the queen and the rook on the g file. Here king on e7 was played, queen takes on g7. We have king on d8, queen takes on f7, we have queen takes on c3, but now bishop on b5, here queen on a5, now rook on g7, of course with an immediate checkmate threat. Here knight on e7 was played, bishop takes on d7, king takes on d7, and now queen on f6. We want to bring the bishop also in the attack. Here d4 was played, bishop takes on h6, c4, bishop on g5, queen on c5, and now rook takes on e7. And in this position, Vishwanathan Anand resigned, because if you take here rook takes on e7, then we have queen takes on e7, queen takes on e7, and here I think Garry Kasparov has here a 4-on-1 situation with the pawns. Here we can always battle with the pawns, with these two connected pass pawns, but here we can create a really pawn majority, and this would be of course a winning endgame here for white. So as I said, the main ideas for black in the Panov attack, let's just go to a critical position, as I said, are this. Let me go back. Here, this knight on e4 outpost, b6, ideas to undermine your space advantage on the 5th rank, and this e5 pawn breakthroughs. So I hope you realize black's ideas and what are your possibilities while playing this Panov formations in the center, or the so-called Panov attack. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, you can watch my previous video with this Panov attack, with the ideas for black and white, and how to counterplay your opponent. In the next video, we'll try this black's ideas again. What are really the best ideas, and when to use them, because you see black did really have problems in order to find a good counterplay in these types of variations. So as I said, this Panov attack is really dangerous. It's really annoying to play against, because you see this bishop is out of game. You always try to find some good counterplay, but in these examples that I showed you, it was not good for black here. Okay, I hope also that you enjoyed this video, and you can also watch my other basics in chess videos with some other recognition of common pawn structures and some general rules of playing chess, with some opening principles, middle game strategies, and the end game strategies. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.